Welcome to Business Authority Radio, bringing you insights from today's thought leaders, professionals, and influencers. With your hosts, Neil Howe and Craig Williams.
Welcome to another episode of Business Authority Radio. This is Craig Williams, and we have Roy Broderick Jr. There's another one of you around here, obviously. Marketing maven at the Intuition Consulting Firm. Roy, tell me a little bit about how you got into this business, you being the guru and expert that you are in marketing, and as I understand, a strategist. Tell me how you got into the business and tell me how you help great corporations, because these are great corporations and brands that you help get to where they need to be.
Sure. So thank you. What I will say is that I started off in undergrad at the University of Florida. Believe it or not, I am from Atlanta, but I did go to Florida.
We won't hold that against you.
Hey, it's all right. What I will say is that it was a great time. But at Florida, I really had a rigorous program that really made me start thinking about my legacy and the impact that I wanted to leave in the world. There, I studied marketing and communications. Coming right out of that, I jumped into entertainment marketing, and then after a whirlwind of experience from your BETs and Viacoms of the world to Tyler Perry and out to LA and marketing agencies, I landed on, hey, let me build a shop that's really going to be built on the work and the integrity that we do for our clients. And so that is kind of how Intuition was born. I would say our secret sauce is really, like you said, the strategy. We like to really make sure that we understand our clients, their voice, that they understand it as well. And we've been blessed to be able to work with a lot of brands, but also startups and small businesses as well.
Your sweet spot for a long time has been in entertainment and fashion. What are some of the other, when you're dealing in that creative space, which I definitely can relate, that opens up so many more opportunities, because when you're able to use both sides of your brain, it extends your value proposition. It's an intangible for the most part, but it really extends because you're thinking outside of the box into it, as opposed to working inside of the box out. And a lot of times when you're working with a lot of these brands, they're in this box that they have created, and it could be a very large box, but you're helping them to step outside so they can see the perspective that you see, so they can have an unbiased opening to what could be outside of what they've created. What would you say help you step outside of fashion and entertainment to help other businesses? And I think, too, speaking to the diversity and inclusion initiatives that you innately have been able to promote, tell me how that really opened the door for you.
Sure. So for me, it's about culture, right? What culture is culture is king, right? How does it really help the consumer and help the brand, right? And so a lot of times when we work with these brands, even in the entertainment space, I remember promoting one of Tyler Perry's films, Single Moms Club. And it was like, let's just think about the mom, right? Let's not think about her being single. Let's think about moms. Let's start with the campaign around moms and things moms like to do. So of that, we did like a pop-up champagne breakfast at hair salons, to promote the movie, right? So just things that really focus on the consumer, those unifiers. So your music, fashion, entertainment, sports. And then also really looking at how does your brand play into that? A lot of them do create that big box, Craig, that makes them say, oh, well, we are Coca-Cola and we only operate this way, and we're AT&T and we only operate this way, right? But okay, great. But how can we apply your brand standards to, an Essence Festival, or how do we at the BET Awards or Experience? How do you show up to really authentically have a conversation with consumers and still stay true to your brand? So that's really what we try to get them to do.
So Roy, that's a great point you just made. The fact that a corporation or company or a brand has its own culture is well and good, but that culture is there to serve other cultures. So there has to be a consideration, a respect, and a regard for that other culture that they're trying to serve. And just like you said, if the movie basis, of course, the movie's theme may have been around a single mom, but that's a market. That is a market. But the ultimate market is moms in general, like you said, because we all have one of those.
Yep.
Every last one of us have one of those. And that's a greater net. Not so much that we're just trying to catch, but also share and serve. And so as a marketer, I've found, and I see, I think you see, and we just talked briefly before this discussion about how being a part of helping environments, communities grow, and then you see that they grow into their own culture. And then you see, hey, it's time for me to move over here, not move on, but move over here so that I could do what I am and be who I am to help continually perpetuate community. And that's a consideration that's built inside of what I say most of the highly successful marketers and strategists. They think from a place where it's all inclusive, even though they may have a niche that they're serving in their business model. They cannot get past, I'm here to serve humanity and I'm using these tools. Tell me how that, and I know you probably subconsciously see that every day. It's a mission in business.
Yes.
To make money so that you can sustain, so that you can help serve more people. But innately inside of you, there is the mission to be significant. You said legacy. You started off with legacy, and that really pricked my ears as well. What would you say the legacy of the Intuition consulting firm is going to be going forward?
So for us, when I started the company, our tagline came from the idea of communities don't just get better, they're made better, right? So
intentionality.
Exactly. So our tagline is made better by intuition, right? So that idea of not only just trusting your gut, but also really making sure that you are thinking, strategically. You're not just doing things just to do them, there's an instinct urging that occurs, when you sense that something needs to change, right?
Yeah.
So trust that with your business and really make sure that in, that actionable part of that you are being strategic in your decision making, right? And a lot of times, I'll even admit to people and say, I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. Now, I have come from a family of entrepreneurs, and once I made my jump, I realized, I'm kind of walking into a legacy in a way, right? But I was very comfortable on the marketing agency side, switched over and became a senior manager with Allstate Insurance, had a nice, comfy insurance paying job and was like, yay.
And there's residual there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And 6 months into it was like, this is not my life. Can't be, right? There's something greater out here. I was on the beach. And just had this epiphany that, I need to do something for people to help themselves, help communities around them, and really understand that, small businesses and mid-sized businesses aren't successful because of lack of resources and lack of knowledge, right? That's when you see legacies die. When the family member that has owned the tire shop for 20 years, gets called home, then who's running the business? Who's there to really learn both the business side and the trade side? Did we think through succession planning and those type of deals? And then even with customer retention and loyalty, did you really send those Christmas cards, or was that just like a thing you meant to do? So really, really helping business owners is what Intuition was originally built for. Now we've changed because, of course, with brand relationships, the brands loved the work that we did on the diversity side when I was at all these other companies. So they, of course, came to us and was like, yo, we want to, still play ball. What's happening? So we have got to kind of dabble back into that space. But our primary goal is to help that established business owner who, might have started a business and even experienced some success. But, at the end of the day, maybe revenue slipping, maybe what they've been doing is not going to work. We get a lot of people that say, I've never had to do marketing, and I've been around 20 years, but I know that day is coming to an end. So let's get started and really call on our experts to help make their business better.
What would you say marketing has evolved into? Because back in the day, sales and marketing, that was a department or a group, but marketing has become more because of brand awareness and brand being tied to our identity. And if we don't know who we are, then how do we expect someone else to know who we are and what we stand for? What would you say Intuition's basis or foundation of marketing is?
So I would say, strategy, right? But even when we break down strategy, it's storytelling, right? First, do you know who you are as a brand? As a company, you're one thing. As an owner, you're another. How do the two connect?
Yeah.
Does it really align with your passions? Does your mission and vision and goals make sense for the industry that you're in, but then also for you? Do you stay awake at night thinking about your company because you're like, I know we've been going in the wrong direction for 20 years? Or are you up as a startup, like, I just have my idea on some bar napkins and haven't really started a business plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either way, we say, let's start with that and let's follow your gut and also look at insights and analytics to your target consumer and help you really round out to have a strategic plan. So you feel, hey, I'm walking away with the strategy that can ground myself. Because as you mentioned earlier in the conversation, when you start, you get so many different opportunities, things happen, new partners could arrive, family things could happen, anything to shift your business. But if you kind of have that roadmap to success of who you are, who you're trying to reach, how you're going to get there, then you'll be pretty set because that's something that can ground you. So I always say we're grounded in strategy, but we also really think through, how do you effectively tell your story authentically?
Wow. That's good because it made, and I can't forget the beach conversation you had and how you had the epiphany on the beach. You were awakened. You came to yourself that, hey, wait a minute. This is not what I want to do. And sometimes the distraction can be profits.
Yep. So
it could be growth.
It is a lot of times for folks. And what I always tell even our clients in our consultation, because we get a lot of, I see the brands you work with, so I'm already nervous about what your price is, right? So we laugh, of course, at that. But I always tell people, number one, you have to be willing to make an investment in your business. So number one, you've done that by even having a consultation, right? You're coming in saying, hey, I want to have a real authentic conversation with you all. But then the second part of that is really you understanding that, we have to make money, but that's not our goal here. My goal is not the money. I mean, I walked away from a job that was paying me more than I think my father's ever made in a year, right? But at my mid-20s, right? So that idea of being, hey, it's not about that. There's something greater. And I think that let your work speak for itself. If you treat people right, no matter what, one thing I've always been raised to do, if it's the janitor or the man that lets you in the building or the principal, everybody gets a good morning, right?
Yeah,
so that
no
idea
respect the
of,
person.
Exactly. So that idea of that everyone has a thought and opinion that matters and they have presence, they're walking this earth. So respect them just for that at least, right? And so really doing the same and saying that, make the investment, but don't chase the money, because that's, to me, I even said this yesterday in a meeting, chasing the money is like chasing a dog chasing his tail, right? Yeah. Because you'll get it, right? And then you're wanting that same thing again. Then you'll go all the way back around in the circle again and again and again. And the next thing you know, 15 years has passed, you've been making money, but you feel selfish. You feel like, hey, what about
no significance? Yeah.
How am I significant in the world? And what am I leaving behind? Like, come on.
Although finances play I would say if we were looking at a structure, finances would be a very important cornerstone.
Yes.
But the foundation always has to come back to why. And you said just a while ago, we were talking about people and how you were raised and taught to regard and respect everyone pretty much the same as a human being. I think what has happened with marketing is now the arm that shows that part of a brand's why and who they are going to serve, but how they're going to be inclusive to everyone, even though they didn't build their business on a particular genre or culture or community. If you're going to survive in this day and age, and because of the speed of business, you have to be globally inclusive because we're all playing on that same space. Yep. So was that a natural transition, or was that always an intent for Intuition Consulting?
So it was not. When I started Intuition, I was running away from the brands, right? So half of it was like, great, I'm going to do this. We're going to serve our communities. I want to serve the small startups. And the businesses that are failing and I do not want to work with the brands. But I would say when I really thought through my success over the years, it's been the value of a relationship. And so I have relationships with marketers, chief marketing officers, diversity, inclusion folks and officers of companies. And it would be an odd feeling of being at a conference and seeing an activation go downhill that I managed the previous year, and they just look at me, right? Yeah. And so because of those things, I said, you know what? We can definitely do it when needed. It's not business that we go and chase, but if it happens organically, or we have an agency partner that calls us and says, hey, we have this, we need help in understanding the strategy, we'll be for it. But our main goal is really our established entrepreneurs and our eager startups. Awesome.
Tell me what's on the horizon or the near horizon for Intuition.
So Intuition has a lot of great things coming up. So we actually will be doing a panel discussion, or more really, I'd rather call it a workshop, at the A3C Music Festival and Conference, which happens in Atlanta, October 4th through the 8th. And so we're doing a Startup and Glow Up, and that's our session. It's called Startup and Glow Up, and it's the keys to building and growing a successful brand. And so really thinking through the audience of A3C, you have, your entrepreneurs, your musicians, your industry professionals, and then just your creative geniuses that all come, for a week here in Atlanta. And so we wanted to be able to reach them and give them not only the fundamentals, but give them some check-ins to understand their brand, have an expert really look at your stuff to make sure that you're on the right track and give you some feedback that's going to help you be able to reach your goals. And so whether that's being signed or staying independent, or even some managers that are like, hey, how do you get corporate partnerships? How do we work with the AT&T of the world, or a Coke of the world? We want to, get aligned with that, because there's a secret way in doing it, and a special way that you have to show up and be prepared. And I think that that's really what our session will focus on. We also will be appearing at Black Enterprises Tech Connect Summit in San Francisco in early October, and they're doing a conversation on diversity in the tech space, and the lack thereof of diversity women, but then also just diversity in how we are showing up as African Americans, and what that means for the world to come.
Awesome. I have Roy Broderick Jr. here on Business Authority Radio, marketing maven of the Intuition consulting firm, a top influencer in the game. Let's talk about influence. Because that's basically how you build anything. In relationship, it's about how you influence yourself first, then others. As an authority and chief influencer, what would you say the number one thing that you've learned, as far as responsibilities are concerned, that you've learned can either tear a business up or bring it down? And when I say tear it up, that's a positive. Tear up the street as far as being disruptive. Because when you're dealing with cultures and countercultures and what we've been conditioned to understand about other people that we don't know or don't know that much about, or we just see it on TV and we think we know, what would you say in relationship to influence is the most important thing?
So for me, I would say staying true to your brand, right? And just even that, right? The identity of the brand, your branding in your company's culture, right? When you're a business, you can create your own, right? You don't have to do what corporations have taught you. You don't have to do what you think society thinks you should do. You can really, be your own, right?
So
something as simple as what I laugh with my team is that, when I worked in corporate and even on the agency side, we had to wear a lot of suits, right? So they've never seen me in a suit, and they're like, I was like, nope. The closest you'll get is a blazer and a t-shirt, right? Because the idea that I want to be comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And I want them to be comfortable because that's not what it's about, right? But, of course my t-shirt is ironed and then, it looks nice, right? But the idea of just being able to say that's a part of our culture.
Yeah.
We believe in that. We're going to be unapologetically us.
Yeah.
And really looking at that. I mean, so even in our hiring decisions, right, we think through that, not about just can we all get in the room and have a conversation and it be, strategic and, we pass ideas around, but can we get along? Right?
Yeah.
Because when we're here past 8 p.m. and we got to still get cracking on a strategy, or we're in New Orleans activating Essence Festival for AT&T and it's 3:00 in the morning and the booth's still getting built, like, are we all going to be in this together?
Yeah. And not being yourself. I mean, that is very important. When you're able to be comfortable with yourself, that projects onto other people. And although they may not be as comfortable with who they are, it helps them push and challenge and evoke them to be who they are, because we really can't build something authentic if we're not. Tell me what you would tell a younger Roy. Let's say I usually ask, the 20 years ago, but that puts you in the crib, looks like.
No, I was out of the crib.
Yeah, but what would you tell a 20-year younger Roy in this business of really building bridges? Because that's basically what marketing using communications of all sorts. What would you tell that younger Roy?
For what I would tell the younger Roy would be to start early, right? Because what I would say is that while I started early, if we looked at the numbers of how old I am, this idea came to me years ago, right? But it was that idea of I even remember like an old boss of mine, like in one of my reviews saying like, we should do this. Like, I know that we work for this company, but we should do this. This is a vision that I had last night and this is how it could work, And she looking at me and being like, that's a great idea. Like, we should, but it was never nothing. It wasn't anything we ever acted on, right? Just that idea of just like, we talked about it, like, but 3 years passed, you know? And so I would say start it, because if anything, you'll fail fast and you'll keep it moving, right? But I think that everyone should have this experience. And I think that honestly, what I can't tell people enough, they always ask how we've been so successful. And I always say like the relationships, because I am that person. When I think of someone, I text them. You know what I mean? When they come in my head, because I really believe that you're coming in my head for a reason. So even if I don't need anything, just being like, hey, are you okay? Are you good? And so really doing that, and then just being able to help people for no reason. People, a lot of calls I get a day are like, hey, I'm trying to get to someone over at Coke, or I was talking to this person, I can't remember this person's name, and we connect people, right? I almost was that idea of the connector, and thought that was going to be my life. Like, I'm just going to be the person like the operator back in the
And it is, in a sort of way. It does have the brand or the title of marketing, but that's what you're being who you are, and it comes in different layers.
Exactly.
And wow, that's I'm listening to you, and it's almost like listening to a mirror tell, some of and different people that we may know of in our circle. I'm not going to say any names, but different people we know in our circle. Pretty much that's what we've been as marketers, or we've been the bridge, and it's part of our DNA to consider others, consider how we could get the story out, get the story across, and get the authentic story across, so that people are clear about what we're about and who we're being. And it usually is the same, but communicating that is very important sometimes. Tell people how we can get in touch with you. This information will be on the show notes, but how do you like and prefer people to get in touch with your authority?
Sure. So I always tell folks you can get in touch with us by going on our website, filling out a form, or you can just email me directly. My email is roy@intuitionatl.com. Or you can even email team, so TEAM team at intuitionatl.com, and that's what our admins will see, right? So that they keep me accountable for all the emails that I get. But we're accessible, questions, comments, concerns. I mean, we love to help people solve problems, and even when people are just saying, hey, this is an idea that I have, does it make sense? We even do those. So I always just tell folks, don't be afraid to reach out, no matter what. We even play nice with other marketing agencies. We've had other marketing agencies as clients, and work with a lot of marketing teams as well, because our, bread and butter is strategy, right? So how can we come in as outsiders and tell your brand, like, hey, this is what we see, this is what we might need to change. Let's figure out how to get it done, and let's look at the resources that you have and be able to help amplify the talent that you have, but also support what you don't have. So that's the easiest way. I tell folks, we are on social media. So at Intuition ATL is our social handle. So if you chat with us there, folks will chat with you as well. So,
and your URL, your website.
Yep. So it's www.intuitionatl.com. So we're consistent. Everything is intuitionatl.com.
Are you 12 digits? Does that spell out something too? Is it 12? Or how many digits is it now? I mean, we have to have a prefix 7. Yeah, no, it's 7 digits. It used to be 7, now it's 10, right?
Yeah, now it's 10.
So does that spell out anything? Is that intuitive as well?
I haven't, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, do you broadcast your number? Is there a contact number or a hotline number?
What I tell folks is they can call 404-966-1152. That's actually my number. You get me directly.
That's bold.
I always give folks my number. Yep. I always tell them. Now, I might not be the one to call you back because my voicemails stay, but we'll make sure you get a response.
Awesome.
I always think email is the best way. But if you really are that phone person, or just send me a text, right? I tell people all the time. I text folks all day. I don't know who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
So you say who you are, say your question, I answer it. So.
Gotcha. Well, once again, Roy Broderick Jr., marketing maven and chief influencer at the Intuition Consulting Firm. Thank you so much, Roy.
Thank you, Craig. I enjoyed it.
You've been listening to Business Authority Radio with Neil Howe and Craig Williams. To learn more about the resources mentioned in today's show, or to listen to past episodes, visit businessauthorityradio.com.